All right, so if you guys click to the link and scroll to the bottom, you should get to this portion, which you should be familiar with since most of our workshops or all of our workshops have been on this page. And we're going to go ahead and click that first section here, the Cloud Firestore Android. And you should open into a page that looks very similar to this. So before we begin this workshop, I want everyone to double check some of the things that I think they're going to need or we will need for running this workshop. Open up your Android Studio. And I want you to double check a couple things for me. So when I was doing this workshop ahead of time, I ran into issues with some of the updates that I needed and packages I needed, so it would work. So you can open any project of your choice, or even just open up a new one, whatever you prefer. But if you look in this corner right here, it's called SDK Manager. I want you to click that for me, and it should open into a window that looks like this. Now, when you're here, I want you guys to make sure that you have at least Android 10 or Q installed. And then in this section right here, go to SDK Tools. And I want you guys to make sure that you have Android SDK Platform Tools, Android SDK Tools, and Google Play Services all installed. And your Google Play Services, this number right here has to be greater than 30. If you have a Google Play Services that is less than 30, go ahead and run an update and install. That should show up that you need to install because the current version is 49. So if you're below 30, this workshop isn't going to work for you. All right, so here we go, starting at number 1. So here's the overall overview for this workshop. Goals: in this collab, you will build a restaurant recommendation app on Android backed by the Cloud Firestore. You will learn how to read and write data to the Firestore from an Android app, listen to changes in Firestore data in real time, use Firebase authentication and security rules to secure Firestore data, write complex Firestore queries. So number 2, we're going to create a Firebase project. So what we want to do first is to sign into a Firebase console with your Google account. So you should get to this page right here, and you're going to click sign in with your Google account. It's going to be a little different for you because I'm already signed in. So once you create your account or log into your email, you'll go to a go to console, and your page should be like this, okay? And it'll probably say add project. It'll look like this screen here. So step 3, as shown in the screen capture below, you're going to enter a name for your Firebase project, for example, Friendly Eats, and click continue. Just follow through with that. Add yourself a project, enter your project name. All right, step 4, you're going to choose whether to enable Google Analytics for the project and click continue. You will enable it. Lastly, choose your analytics location, which is just going to be United States, and then test account. And then accept all these right here. So you should follow these step 1, 2, 3, just like that. And then when you create the Friendly Eats project, it's going to show up like this. So after a minute or so, your Firebase project will be ready. You click continue. So this part's going to be a little bit of a tricky part. I had a little bit of issues with it, but hopefully we can get through this as smooth as possible. Right here in step 3, we have to set up the sample project and we have to download this code, all right? So run the following command. We're not going to do that. What you want to do is go ahead and copy this like this to the HTTPS, and you're going to paste it into your browser. And it should send you to the GitHub for this workshop. So here, you want to go ahead and download this project. Once you download your project, open your Android Studio. And then you're going to open your existing Android Studio project, and then find it in your downloads or wherever you saved it. If it's not downloads, find the path and then open it up.
Or you can directly clone it from version control, I guess.
You could if you want to clone it that way, yes. The next step we're going to do is to set up the Firebase. So in the Firebase console, we're going to select Project Overview in the left nav and click the Android button to select the platform. When prompted for a package name, use this name right here. So copy this. Step 2, we're going to click Register App and follow the instructions to download the Google Services JSON file. And when we download this file, we're going to end up moving it to our app folder of our sample code and then click Next. So when you download it, what you're going to do is open Android Studio. You're going to go to Project. And then this folder right here that says App. I want you to take that download file or that JSON file. So it'll show up like this. And you're going to drag it into app just like that. So when you open it, it should have this inside of it. Click that Android. No, the little symbol right in the middle that has the Android. Yep.
What should I do right here? Android package name.
You're going to copy from go back to the workshop.
This one?
Yeah. Right there. There you go.
Okay. Is it right?
Yeah, it's correct. All right, register. All right, now you have to download that file. Go to Android Studio. And now go to that downloads and then drag that into app.
Yeah, thank you.
There you go.
Thanks a lot.
Alrighty. All right, so next what we're going to do is you got to configure the Firebase. So you're going to sign in providers tab. In the sign in providers tab of the Firebase console, you're going to enable email authentication. So that's an authentication right here. Sign in method through your authentication. You want to enable email and password. This is a user I created. You can add a user within here, or you can add a user within the app. Either way you could do it. Okay, so the next step will enable Cloud Firestore for the project. Okay, access to data in Cloud Firestore is controlled by security rules. We talk more about rules later, but we need some basic rules to get our data started. In the Rules tab of the Firebase console, add the following rules and click Publish. So go ahead and copy this. And then you can just click, it'll take you to the Rules tab. And you're going to paste it here. And update it. Mine is a little different because you're gonna do this one later, but just go ahead and whatever's there inside your box, delete it, and then add that code that it was generating for you. This guy, all right? And then you're gonna click publish, and it'll take a moment for that to go ahead and push through. So see that class path, com.google.gms, Google Services, the green?
Oh, yeah?
Copy that. Okay, go to Android Studio.
I didn't copy it.
It's already copied.
Okay. So go to the Android study.
Yeah.
Here, right?
Yes. Now remember how we changed project from Android? We're gonna go back to Android. One more. There you go.
Okay.
Go down to Android and then click the build Gradle project.
This one?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And we're gonna make sure that that class path Google Services is there, which it is.
Where is that?
Right there, class path dependencies. Make sure you have that there, the google.com.gms Google Services.
Yeah, it's here.
Okay, now go back to the other screen for me.
Okay.
Make sure that you have all projects, repositories in Google. So go back to Android. And if you look right there, right at the top, here, don't scroll. Right there in the middle, all projects, repositories in Google. You have it right there. Yep, in that section.
Yeah.
Okay, now go back to the web. Now we have to go to a different page and copy that apply plugin for that one. Yeah, copy that
This
one.
one?
Yep.
And
Okay.
then go
Yeah.
go to the Android again.
Yep. Now you're gonna open up the build.gradle module.
This
Right
one?
there. Yep. Now right under that apply plugin, right at the top.
This one?
Yeah, right. You're gonna paste it just below that. Yep. There you go. Now we got one more thing to copy. Go ahead, click that. Okay, now go back. Scroll down to dependencies. Right there in that portion, right there.
Here?
Yeah.
Should I paste here?
Yeah, you can paste it right below it. Yep. Then that's gonna give us our analytics. See that sync now? Right at the yellow bar that says sync now. Gradle files have changed since last project sync.
Okay.
Thank you. So make sure you guys click that sync button. You got it. There it is. There's your JSON file. See that Google services.json? The first one. Drag that file into app.
Into the Android?
Yeah, click Android Studio.
And then this is this
that
app,
one.
right?
That's where you're dragging it right into there. Yep.
Yeah. I put
there
it.
You go.
Now it's good.
Yep.
Then okay.
Yep.
Okay. And now?
Rebuild it. Rebuild the project. Christian, I saw your comment. That's good. That it turned green. It's important that you have that file in the right place.
Right.
You should be able to build now with your JSON file in here. Click play, and it should show up to something like this. All right, so here's step 4. In this section, we will write some data to Firestore so that we can populate the home screen. You can enter data manually in the Firebase console, but we'll do it in the app itself to demonstrate how to write data to Firestore using the Android SDK. The main model object in our app is restaurant, so see model restaurant.java. Firestore data is split into 2 documents, collections and subcollections. We will store each restaurant as a document in a top-level collection called restaurants. To learn more about Firestore data model, read about documents and collections in the documentation. So let's check this out for a second. The Cloud Firestore data model is a NoSQL document-oriented database, so it kind of works like the file system within your computer. There are no tables, there are no rows. You will store data in documents, and they're organized into collections. So it's the same. It's very similar to how you save, your documents in your documents, your music in your music, so on and so forth. Photos with photos, your desktop, and the way it does that is by it pairs with key values, or it has key value pairs, and then it'll have collections within the Firestore, so the cloud basically, and it'll connect those values with through keys. So if you're searching for something through the database, or just the same way you look for a file and type search in your, like, say you're looking for a certain photo, you search, that key will be connected to the database in your computer, and it'll find it and open it up for you. So that's how Firebase works. If you want, this is the page that I clicked, and it tells you more about Firestore and how it's a NoSQL document oriented database. So go ahead and click that open and just leave it for later to read, but basically it covers and states what I just said. So we're gonna go first. I wanted to go over to see this model restaurant Java and Android, so you guys can see the objects. Open these here. Java model restaurant, and click restaurant Java. It is Java here. You see it's a class restaurant, the same way we set up classes in school. This is how you will set up your database classes. So it's how it sorts its data through object-oriented programming. I just wanted to let you guys see this so you guys understand it's object-oriented. It's nothing that you guys can't do, and you should know this pretty much. If you've taken programming too, you should understand this, or have no problem understanding the Firebase backend. Okay, so first let's get an instance of a Firebase Firestore to work with. We're gonna edit this init Firestore within our method and main activity. So go to your Android Studio, and we're gonna find our main activity right here, main activity. So in your Java folder, the same way there was model, there should be main activity. You're gonna click that open, and you'll be to this page here. You're going to scroll down, and we're going to go to this method called private void init Firestore. Go ahead and copy this right inside the m Firestore equals Firebase Firestore dot get instance, and you're going to paste that in here into this method. Then we're going to add this for demonstration purposes. It's going to add functionality into the app to create 10 random restaurants when we click the add random items button in the overflow menu. Fill this inside the on add items clicked. So you're going to copy just below that add items clicked, everything inside. Make sure you get that one bracket because it's for that for loop inside. Copy all of that. You're going to scroll down in the same main activity till you get to this right here, the add items clicked, and paste it inside. Now they'll have this code in here to show to do toast. This is just when you open it and run the simulator, it's going to show that you have to do it. You can comment this out or delete it. You don't need it. So what is this method doing? You see at the very beginning, just like object-oriented programming, you're getting a reference to the restaurants collection. So collection reference restaurants equals, now you're creating an instance or a reference within the Firestore collection of restaurants. This is just a basic for loop. Now you're going to get a random restaurant from the object-oriented programming within the Firestore. So restaurant equals restaurant util get random. And then add a new document to the restaurant collection. So restaurants.add. So it's going to add a restaurant within your app. And that's what this states right here, basically what I said. Now, if you run the app and click on the top portion. It says add random items. Buttons in the overflow menu will invoke what you just wrote. It's going to add random items. Now, you won't be able to view it yet, but if you navigate to the Fire console in your database, you'll see newly added data. So let me show you that. So as you see, I have all these restaurants added. Go ahead and run your app. Now you won't see any of the pictures that you'll see on my screen, but you will see within the database in the console that it's going to start adding information. It's going to create documents for different restaurants. Okay, so then you should have very similar to this. You just don't have this bottom portion yet. If you click these three dots and click add random items, it's going to add information here. This should grow. All right, so everyone has been able to see that, how you should see added new data. Congratulations, you just wrote your first data to the Firestore. All right, moving on to step 5. All right, display data from Firestore. In this step, we will learn how to retrieve data from Firestore and display it in our app. The first step to reading data from Firestore is to create a query. We're going to modify the init store method, which we were just working in, and we're going to add this code right here and paste it just below what we added earlier. So go ahead and copy this and paste it right under your init Firestore, just right there. All right, so now after we've done that, we want to listen to the query so that we get all matching documents and are notified of future updates in real time. Because our eventual goal is to bind this data to a recycler view, we need to create a recyclerView.adapter class to listen to the data. We're going to do this by opening our Firestore adapter class, which has been partially implemented already. First, let's make the adapter implement event listener and define the onEvent function so that it can receive updates to the Firestore query. All right, so we're going to go to Android Studio. This folder here that says adapter. Go ahead and drop that down and you're going to click Firestore adapter. It should bring you to this page here. So the first thing it asks us to do is to make the adapter implement event listener. So copy this implements here, event listener, query snapshot. You got to copy that. And you're going to paste it just right after the extends of recyclerView.adapter. You're going to paste it right there. Now you're going to go ahead and copy this method here on event all the way past the onDataChanged to that closing bracket. Copy this whole method and you're going to paste it within this class. I pasted mine, I believe, down here at the bottom. So the initial load, this listener will receive one added event for each new document. As the result set of the query changes over time, the listener will receive more events containing the changes. Now let's finish implementing the listeners and first add 3 new methods. So we're going to add these methods because this is how the documents are modified or removed or added. So these are all different methods here. You're going to copy this whole thing. Just copy that. Make sure you have it all. But I pasted mine just below the onEvent method, which is the one that we've pasted first.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now that we implemented these methods, we have to call them from our first method, the onEvent method. So you're gonna copy this onDocument added, paste it within your case one. This is your onEvent method, so you're gonna copy onDocument added, onDocument modified, onDocument remove, and you're gonna paste it within your switch case, which is within your onEvent method that we created earlier. Here's the onDocument added, modified, and removed. So what you should have here from this page, starting from the top, you have pasted implements event listener on query snap right within your public abstract class for the Firestore adapter. You should have pasted this public void onEvent method within this class. Just below that, you should have posted these methods for adding a document, modifying a document, and removing a document. And then after you've pasted those, you're pasting your calls to those methods within the for loop of your onEvent. There's one more that we have to do, which is in our start listening method, which was already added. You're going to copy this if statement here. So copy that if you haven't already, moved on a little bit ahead. And there's a method called start listening. Make sure you paste that if statement in there in the start listening method. So then now when you run your app, you should see the pictures here now. Step 6 is going to be for sorting and filter data. The app currently displays the top rated restaurants across the entire collection, but in real restaurant app, the user would want to sort and filter the data. For example, the app should be able to show top seafood restaurants in Philadelphia or least expensive pizza. Clicking white bar at the top of the app brings up the filters dialog. In this section, we'll use Firestore queries to make this dialog work. So we're going to edit the onFilter method of the main activity Java. This method accepts a filters object, which is a helper object we create to capture the output of the filters dialog. We will change this method to construct a query from the filters. Okay, so let's go to our Android Studio and we're going to open up our main activity again. That's where the init Firestore method was. And just below the add items clicked, which we worked with earlier, there's an onFilter method. Go ahead and paste that entire code block inside of it. You don't have to delete anything that's inside, just paste it. You can comment out the show to do toast because this just tells us that we need to implement it or delete it. And so you copy all of that. It already has the set header and save filters in there, at least mine did. So just double check that this set header and set filters you didn't have to post. Mine's had this already, so I only had to paste everything above it. But if you don't have it, make sure you have it in there. So we build with this code up here, we built a query object by attaching where and order by clauses to match a given filter. If you run the app again and select the following filter, it will show the most popular low-priced restaurants. So what we basically implemented is when we click on this button here, we can sort by price, apply, and now you see it has the dollar sign, the small dollar sign. It gets more expensive as you go down. You can skip this warning if you I didn't get it, so hopefully you didn't get it either. So after that step, it should be like that. All right, I'm moving on to the next step. 7 is organize data in subcollections. In this section, we'll add ratings to the app so users can review their favorite or at least favorite restaurants. Collections and subcollections. So far, we have stored all restaurants' data in a top-level collection called restaurants. That's this right here. We've stored everything inside restaurants. When a user rates a restaurant, we want to add a new rating object to the restaurants. For this task, we will use a subcollection. You can think of a subcollection as a collection that is attached to a document. So each restaurant document will have a rating subcollection full of rating documents. Subcollections help organize data with bloating our documents or required complex queries. So this is another example of like the way Firebase works. Firestore is more like the file system within your computer. So think of like when you have a folder called My Documents, and then when you open it, you have a sub collection of documents, right? You have all your different Word documents, and you open one, it'll be a file for whatever homework assignment. Then you click another one, it's another homework assignment, for example. So that's how data is stored within Firebase on the cloud. To access a subcollection, we're going to call the .collection method on a parent document. So this is just showing you what it does. You don't have to copy this. You can access and query a subcollection just like a top-level collection. There's no size limitations or performance changes. You can read more about this Firestore data model here. So go ahead and click this and just save it there so you can be more familiarized with subcollections and the data model. This is actually, I think, the same document from earlier. Yep. So you probably already have that open. It just basically describes how the data is stored, which is like your file system in your computer. Writing data in a transaction. Adding a rating to the proper subcollection only requires calling the .add method, but we also need to update the restaurant's object's average rating and number of ratings to reflect the new data. If we use separate operations to make these two changes, there are a number of race conditions that could result in a stale or incorrect data. To ensure that ratings are added properly, we will use a transaction to add ratings to the restaurant. This transaction will perform a few actions. Step 1, it's going to read the restaurant's current rating and calculate a new one. Step 2, it's going to add the rating to the subcollection. And step 3, it's going to update the restaurant's average rating and the number of ratings. So we're going to open up the restaurant detail activity Java and implement the add rating function. So let's go back to Android Studio. So you want to open up your restaurant detail activity class right here. And it should look like this page here. You're going to scroll down to this add rating. And you're going to copy, let me see where I copied. I copied the whole thing and just pasted it inside, I believe. Yeah, I copied from the bottom all the way up. They have a method there and it says to replace it or like implement it, but I just ended up deleting it and just copying and pasted this whole thing and just pasted it right inside. Okay. So once you paste that inside, the add rating function returns a task representing the entire transaction. And the onRating method function listeners are added to the task to respond to the result of the transaction. Now you're going to run the app again, and you're going to click on one of the restaurants, which should bring up the restaurant detail screen. Then click the add button to start adding a review. Add a review by picking a number of stars and enter some text. Hitting submit will kick off the transaction. When the transaction completes, you will see that your review displayed below and an update to the restaurant's review counted. So let's go ahead and check that out. So if you implemented it correctly, if you click a restaurant here, so Best Cafe right here, and you click this add button, you can go ahead and type something. You can be as descriptive as you like. Click submit, and there you go. It says right there, there's my review, food is great. When I created my account earlier, I made my name John Doe. So you see my name's there. It's connected to my account that you created when you first logged into this app. And there you go. Congrats, you have now a social local mobile restaurant review app built on Cloud Firestore. Last thing is about securing your data. At the beginning of this Colab, we set our app's security rules to prevent unauthenticated access. In a real application, we'd want to set much more fine-grained rules to prevent undesirable data access or modification. Open the Rules tab of the console and change the security rules to the following. So you want to copy this whole thing. And you remember that Rules tab, Database. Yeah, click Database, and you're going to click Rules. And remember how you posted that little one earlier? And I said, don't mind mine. Well, here's what I have now, which is what you're about to post. So delete what you have in here and then post this whole code. And then click publish. And it'll take a moment, but it should work. So what these rules are actually doing is it's going to restrict access to ensure that clients only make safe changes. For example, updates to a restaurant document can only change the ratings, not the name or any other immutable data. Ratings can only be created if the user ID matches the sign-in user, which prevents spoofing. So that doesn't allow people to just create a bunch of ratings or without having a username. It has to be tagged to someone's login. So these are some of the security measures that you post. Step 9 is the conclusion. You now have created a fully featured app on the top of Firestore. You learned about the most important Firestore features, including documents and collections, reading and writing data, sorting and filtering with queries, subcollections, and transactions. The restaurant app in this collab was based on Friendly Eats example application. You can browse for the source code for the app here. If you have any errors or a lot of errors, they have the whole code here. If you click at this part in number 9, and it'll show you the whole file so you can edit it. If you download or clone this project, it'll have everything already implemented for you. And then these 2 points here, choosing a data structure and simple compound queries. You can keep learning about Firestore by making sure you understand this too. This goes into further describe documents, multiple collections, and subcollections. They have some videos here of how it works with maps, arrays, how to structure your data. So watch these videos. Same thing with this. This has videos. Go ahead and read over this material and in that section 9, and then you should have a great understanding of what Firebase is.